All right, so yesterday you left off on this problem right here with our function table. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next problem. All right, so it says Isaiah is buying. Okay, actually before I get started, I just want you to follow along with me, write down your examples and everything as I'm going through this. All right, number 1. Isaiah is buying jelly beans in bulk. They cost $3 per pound and a candy dish costs $2. The function rule 3x plus 2, where x is the number of pounds, can be used to find the total cost of x pounds of jelly beans and one dish. So make a table, we have our table, that shows the total cost of buying 2, 3, or 4 pounds of jelly beans in one dish. Okay, so since we already know our costs over here, and it says that we put our cost in our output, we're just going to put our numbers in there that they gave us. They gave us 2, 3, and 4. There we go. All right, so now we know our function rule is 3x plus 2. So let's work on the first one. I'm going to show you guys how to work on this, kind of similar to what we did last week. So we're just going to start with 3x plus 2 equals, and we're going to have that equal our cost, which is 2. All right, so we have an equation here now. 3x plus 2 equals 2. This is very similar to what we did last week. So first things first, we want to get our x by itself. We want to remember that. But before we divide here, we want to get rid of this 2. Okay, so we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. Okay, these two are going to cancel out. We're just left with 3x on this side. And then over on our right side here, we have 2 minus 2, which leaves us with 0. The reason why we're just not going to have these two cancel out is because we need this 0 here. Over here, the 0 wouldn't do anything different, but we need to show the 0 on this side. All right, so now we're just left with 3x equals 0. This is exactly what we did last week. So we are left with 3x. We have to get our x by itself. It's being multiplied right now by the 3, so we must do our inverse operation, which is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. Okay, so 3 divided by 3 cancel out. We're left with x equals, and then you're going to do 0 divided by 3, which would give you, exactly, it would give you 0. Okay, so we know that our pounds over here, our x, equals 0. And in our middle box here, we are just going to fill in, we're going to plug in our x. So we have 3 times 0, very hard for me to write out, sorry. 3 times 0 plus 2. Okay, then just remember to check your work. So 3 times 0 would give you 0 plus 2. 0 plus 2 would be 2. Therefore, we know that this works out. All right, moving on to our next part in the box, we have our cost equaling 3. So we're going to do the same exact thing we just did. We're going to write down our equation that they gave us, which was 3x plus 2, and have that equal our output or our cost over here, which was 3. And then we are just going to solve for x just like we did before. So first, we must get rid of this 2. Subtract 2 from both sides. 2 minus 2, those are going to cancel out. So we're just left with 3x on our left side. And on our right side, we're going to do 3 minus 2, which is left with 1. Fix that. All right, so we're left with 3x equals 1. Right, so we're going to divide both sides by 3 to get our x all alone. Okay, these two are going to cancel out, so we are left with x equals 1/3. Now we don't want to get, you could get a decimal answer here, but it's going to be a repeating decimal. It's just easier to leave it as a fraction here. So right here we're just left with 1/3. I'm going to write that again because it looks really bad. All right, so again, in our middle box, we're just going to plug in our answer that we got for x, which was 1/3, and just write it into the equation. So we would just have 3 times 1/3 plus 2. Again, always check your work just to make sure you would get that answer, and you would end up with 3 on this one. Alright, so let's try the last output box. I want you to do that on your own. So go ahead and try with the strategy that I am showing you. Right, I will give you about a minute to do that, so go ahead starting now. If you're not sure where to start, I'll at least write out the equation. Alright, so let's work through this. Okay, first thing that you should do here is you should subtract your 2 from this side. And we're going to do it to the other side too. Okay, so we are left with 3x equals 2. These 2 are going to cancel out, and 4 minus 2, you're going to get 2. So we're left with 3x equals 2. Now we must undo our 3 being multiplied by x by using division, do the inverse operation. That is supposed to be a 3. There we go, that's a 3. Okay, so these 2 are going to cancel out. Bear with me, it's really hard to write on my computer. Alright, so those 2 cancel out, so we're just left with x on the one side. And on the other side, we have 2 divided by 3, or that is the same thing as 2/3. Oh my gosh, hang on. 2/3. Okay, that's supposed to say 2/3. Alright, so we know that x equals 2/3, therefore that's what is going to go in our pounds box over here. Right, so I just wrote our work in the function box, so I put 2/3 in for our pounds, and then I just plugged in 2/3 for x. So I have 3 times 2/3 plus 2, and that should give you 4. Alright, so we are going to do another problem together. If you liked the way that I do it, by using the equation, you can do it like that, but if you're somehow able to visualize it easier in your brain, that's fine too. Me personally, I can't follow it so much if I don't write out my equation, but that's just me. It's okay if you do it a different way. So I'll do it like a couple different ways as we're going through it. Alright, so this question reads, Jasper hikes 4 miles per hour. The function rule that represents the situation is 4x, where x is the number of hours. So it's 4 being multiplied by the number of hours. So make a table, we have our table here, to find how many hours he has hiked when he has gone 8, 12, and 20 miles. And then we are going to graph it on this graph over here. So since they gave us the number of miles that he's gone, we're going to put that in our output box because it's already labeled right there. We know our miles goes in that spot. So we're going to put 8, 12, and 20 in there. Alright, so we have our 4x here. That's the function rule that they want us to use. So you can do this in 2 ways. You can think about 4 times what is going to give you 8. 4 times what is going to give you 8. 4 multiplied by something equals 8. So you can think about it that way. If that's easy for you to think about in your head, that's totally fine. Some people might prefer to write out the equation here. So if you wish to write out the equation, you can just do 4x equals 8. Look at that. We did that last week. Super easy problem. You just divide both sides by 4. And we are left with x equals, right, we do 4 divided by 4, those cancel out. 8 divided by 4 is going to leave you with, 2. So we know our x, or hours, is going to equal 2. And it's just showing 4 being multiplied by 2. Alright, so go ahead and finish the function table, and you can pause the video right here. And when you unpause it, I will go through my answers. So please come back with answers after you're done pausing the video. Okay, if you are watching now, you have answers. If you do not have your answers, pause and keep working. All right, so we have our next output, which was 12. And so if you want to think about it this way, 4 times something is going to give you 12. 4 times what gives you 12? So I'm going to do my work on the side right here. 4x equals 12. Okay, divide this by 4, divide this by 4. It would get x equals 3. Okay, so I place my 3 in here, and as well as put my 3 in my hours box. All right, last one. Last one, we have 4 times a number is going to give you 20. So 4 times what gives you 20? I'm going to write out my equation. 4x equals 20. Divide both sides by 4. Okay, these two cancel. I'm left with x equals 20 divided by 4, which would be 5. Okay, so 4 times 5 is going to give us 20. Therefore, and then we are going to put our 5 in our hours box. Next, we're going to graph them. All right, so let's plot our points. So our hours is going to be our x coordinate, and our miles is going to be our y coordinate. So remember, when we're graphing, we must do our x coordinate first. So looking at our first set of coordinates, which is 2, 8, we are going to go along our x to 2, and then up to 8. Should be about right here. It's a little past halfway. It's not perfect, but that's all right. Then we're going to write our coordinates next to it just so we remember what is there. 2, 8. Okay, next we have 3, 12. Okay, so we're going to go on our x, start at 0, go all the way to 3, and then go up 12. So we know we have 10 and 15, so it's going to be a little bit past 10, but not quite all the way to 15. Okay, again, we're just going to label that as 3, 12. Okay, next we have 5, 20. Okay, so we're going to start at our 0 right here, go across to 5, and then go all the way up to 20. I kind of wrote in this area, so I'm going to erase this a little bit. You should have more room on your paper, but I don't have that much room in here, so do your best. So we're going to start at 0, go all the way to 5, and up to 20. Put our dot right there. That is right on the line. And then just label your coordinates at 5, 20. Okay, so this is the page you should be doing on your own. We're going to go through the first one, number 1 right here, together, and then the rest of it you are to turn in for today's work. Right, so this is opposite to what we did last time. We're just going to plug in our numbers here for x. So 3, our x is 0. 3 times 0 plus 5. Easy peasy. 3 times 0 is, obviously, yep, it's 0. Then you're going to add 0 plus 5, and your output should be 5. Nicely done. All right, next one, we have 3. Plug in our x, which our x shows right here in our input that it is 3. So we're going to plug that right in. Then put our plus 5 on the end. Okay, first remember we always do multiplication when we're doing our order operations when we have multiplication and addition. So 3 times 3 is going to give us 9. Plus 5, 9 plus 5 would be 14. And last, we have 3 times our x, which this time around our x is 9. 3 times 9 plus 5. Okay, do 3 times 9 first, and you would end up with 27. And then you are going to do 27 plus 5 to get our output. And 27 plus 5 is, there you go. All right, do the rest of the problems on your own and turn it in on Google Classroom.